Hi everyone, my name is Frans Swahn, and I'm here to present a case study for a vocabulary app called Dexter. So this is Mika Oskarsson. She's 29 years old. She's in a relationship. She's a university student who lives in Jönköping, Sweden. Her long-term goals are a career as a philosopher with an NGO or in public policy. She wants to keep learning through life. There's a quote from her. To flourish as a human being, learning is crucial. Her short-term goals are that she wants to bump up her grades by doing better at essays, seminars, and exams. And she wants to stop studying overtime. She studies philosophy at Jönköping University. She works as an assistant for people with cognitive impairments. She studies at home and at the library, often overtime. She has to expand her vocabulary for each class. I prefer to study with others. You learn from each other. Since COVID started, we've had to study on our own. It makes it harder to learn. Mika's classes are getting increasingly complex. She can tell from her recent lower grade trend that it's hard for her to keep up. Now she must learn a new bunch of vocabulary for her new class on Aristotle's first book on ethics. It's important to develop a vocabulary as soon as possible. I believe that by building a flashcard/dictionary app with testing capabilities for Mika, we will achieve a learning situation where analysis, ideation, and creation can come to the fore as the routine task of vocabulary building is streamlined. As the primary task, I've identified uploading terms. Terms are uploaded here, and then they are saved to Dex as a subtask. And in the backend, the terms are saved to a searchable, filterable, and sortable dictionary. And then the secondary task, to review those terms. This includes 4 steps. Look through your terms either in your deck overview or in the dictionary. Memorize the terms using flashcards, and then run a test where your ability to recall definitions is engaged in different ways. The 4th step is you return to deck overview or dictionary where your stats are intuitively on display. Lastly, we have the chores. They are standard necessities to make sense of the 2 main tasks. There's an onboarding segment, an admin tab, and 2 processes for signing up and logging in. For the first iterations of my prototype, I did not focus on other tasks, such as sharing and settings. To map out where architecture and interactions could improve, I built a mid-fidelity prototype in InVision and recruited 5 people from my target audience. They were to perform 6 tasks. The primary task, to add a term and save it to a new deck, or to add a term and save it to an existing deck. And then the secondary task is to study terms in the flashcard mode, and then to test your terms in the test mode. Lastly, we have chores. You sign up and you log in. Before performing any tasks, the participants went through a 5-screen onboarding with instructions. They would talk their way through their choices and were asked to highlight if something felt uncertain or wrong. I rated their interactions errors using Nielsen's 0 to 4 scale. And honestly, the results of the first test session did not look very promising. During the first task, I realized I had organized the keyword interaction completely wrong. The task of typing in a text field is so ubiquitous that I had completely forgotten to build it. My participant was unable to continue after typing a term. Big fail. I went back to the drawing board to fix this, and some other issues, before continuing my test. After 2 more tests, it was clear that certain details still needed attention. Okay, so here we have the primary task. One participant tried to jump from the term to the definition by clicking directly at it, and this was an action I had not foreseen. It felt unnatural to click OK on the keyboard to verify their input. After typing term and definition, 2 users tried adding a deck by hitting this plus button, which was in fact a button who was the second path to adding a term. It wasn't clear to them that they were supposed to click this tab to open the add deck dialog. This signifier was bad. And okay, the secondary task. After the first participant complained that they couldn't enter the study and test modes from this screen and terms, which was the start screen of the app, I added a button for study and test. But my 2 following participants wondered why on earth they should be able to enter these modes when they're just trying to add a term. One participant was unfamiliar with the concept of flashcards and asked, where should I write the answer? This copy flip card also didn't signify anything to users who had never used flashcards. Why should they want to flip a card again? The instructions for the entire app did not work very well during an intro on onboarding. Participants were unable to retain instructions they had read several minutes ago. Lastly, signing up was also difficult, as none of my participants had ever referred to the profile section as admin. One of them resorted to clicking through all 4 tabs until he found a button for signing up. Ouch. Galvanized by the results, I crafted a third prototype. I stripped down the onboarding to only introducing the app. Tests indicated conflicting views on entering the mode study and test from add terms. Remember? This likely stemmed from participants being used to a home screen. Now I introduced the home screen. I used tooltips for whenever you come across a feature for the first time, and I renamed the admin section to account settings instead of including a sign up login button for the home screen. It was key to indicate that no account was needed for using the app. During tests 4 and 5, my alterations meant participants did not encounter any problems. So, what's in store for the future? I will run an A/B test between using a home screen and no home screen, where it's stated during onboarding that there's no need for one, and why there is no need for one. The dictionary needs a task analysis and testing. I just included its features without any deeper deliberation. The color coding in the deck overview foregoes a separate stat section, assuming that users benefit more from hands-on percentages and colors than from charts. The 2 methods for tracking progress definitely need to be tested. I need to make a task analysis and test to find out how the hierarchy and interactions of the account tab should work. Early drafts featured voice control for adding terms, and I would like to explore this direction further. Another feature I'll look into is a deadline function for decks. And lastly, I will also start exploring UI, as you can see here. So, what did I learn? You should always quality check your prototype with peers ahead of user tests. You should keep your onboarding brief. Don't take anything for granted, and different users take different paths to the same goal. Should also mention that the same element can have different meanings to different users. If your solution is unpredictable, you should always use tooltips. And by disabling elements, you can present constraints that alter as choices are made, and thus lead the way. Always use standard language to not alienate your users. And don't design and test too many features simultaneously. It was great to invite participants to help improve the product. They are very important to rid the solution of bias and assumptions. I've begun building a library of best practices for certain standard features, and I'm using sources for tried and true solutions. I will build micro prototypes for interactions that I can pull into future projects. I will use card sorting to find the best structure and copy. And lastly, I learned that I should always try to keep my interviews and tests quick and efficient. Okay, that's all from me. Thanks for having me.